Hey y'all, it's Alexia coming at you from my computer, and this just so happens to be the opening and hopefully the beginning to me quite a few times to tell you guys exactly what I think of this series right here, and it is the Shatter Me series by Tahira Mafi. And it's just the first 3 books. I'm just gonna read the first 3. It is a dystopian romance, and it is all about, I'm trying to like do this but not give away the entire plot because I just read all 3 of them. And I'm basically just gonna read these 3 books and I'll let you guys know exactly what I think whilst I'm reading them. And of course my opinions are gonna change, my inferences are gonna be all over the place, it's gonna be a hot mess, but we're here for it, okay? I do not read dystopian books. I was not that kid who got into like the Hunger Games and all those kinds of books. Just, that didn't do it for me. I was like, what? There's some kind of competition, there's dying all the time, there's like all of these things back and forth. I was like, no way, I can't read that in a book. This book series, I understand exactly why people felt the way that they felt about it, because I read so many different reviews on it and a lot of people said a lot of different things, because some people hated it because it is pushed as a dystopian book. But when I tell you, obviously I've read this series, and it's a dystopian setting, people, that's it. It has a lot to do with the plot, but that's not the main plot, if that makes sense. Like, it's very like sub-genre. It's very much very much not as important at a certain time, if that makes sense, and it becomes more important later on when you get in the series. So with that, I'll just be letting you guys know just my updates on these books, how I feel about them, whether I love them, whether I hate them, everything in between. And with Shatter Me, the series, it basically starts off in a dystopian world where, obviously, a dystopian setting world where Juliet, it's Alexia coming at you from my computer, and well, actually I'm coming at you from like the like other side of my computer. Is normally the other side of my computer that I'm on, but this side is a little weird. But yeah, my like plants are in the back. They're sad because I haven't watered them, and I need to water them today, so I'll probably do that right after this video. Anyway, but basically I've kind of been tabbing through, literally, like I didn't write in it, I just tabbed, that's it. And I didn't tab the first 50 pages, which is actually where I wanted to tab the most, and a little bit of the end I didn't tab. But I pretty much have been reading the Shatter Me series, and I just finished the first book and I'm about to start the second one, to be perfectly honest, because that ending, it did it for me. It made it so that I really did want to read more and want to know more of what was going on in the world. Because I will say this about this first book, at least, just because it's the only thing that I've read, obviously, I actually love the writing. I love like the like crossed out parts, because to me that reminds me of like what I used to like to read back then. I was one of those people who was obsessed with like the crank books and all that kind of stuff. Just, it was very popular back then to write that way, and I say popular among people who read books a lot. Like, it was very popular for those types of people to like really love books like that, and books that you could like really latch on to. And so this is definitely one of those kinds of books. This is not a dystopian book, okay? Like, the plot is not heavy into being released until you get like halfway through the book. So then it like slowly starts to, you know, build up to the plot and give you more plot basically as it goes on. The beginning half of this, the very beginning is her being alone, and then it goes on to her moving into, no, basically her getting a roommate, which was kind of, wait, what? Like, I'm getting a roommate? Yeah, the person who can't touch anyone? And I was just like, y'all, Like literally, I think the first 50 to 80 pages, I was just like, I really don't know how I feel about this, but I want to keep reading. And from then on, it just kind of went into, I really like the writing. I like Tahira Mafi's writing. Tahira, is that it? Tahira Mafi? I hope I'm saying it right. But yeah, I actually really liked it. I gave it 3 stars because I said I like it. You hear me when I say that? I like it. I am not obsessed with it. I am not die hard how I used to be really into Twilight, because I was one of those kids. Regrettably so. But you know, once I knew better, I do better. So on it. But my taste from when I was a kid, I would have eaten this up and been so obsessed with it. Mind you, I do have the first 3 books. I have Unravel Me and Ignite Me on my shelf right now. So they will be the next 2 that I read. But I already know about excuse me. But yeah, I have tabbed it a bit just so you can see like the angle and stuff. It has been a little tabbed. It's just a wee bit tabbed because I didn't there were so many parts where I was like, I want to underline this, I want to underline that, and it was pages right after each other, and I don't like to tab on the same page that's already tabbed for something else, so I'll just like leave it. But there was a lot of that with this book, and oh my gosh, especially towards the end, I was like there were so many things going on, and I got to the end, and you guys, I already know that I think something is gonna end up happening to Adam, and I don't know if he's necessarily not gonna be in the series anymore, but I know something happens to him, to Adam Kent, and I don't know why I feel like Adam is too perfect. And I've thought that since around 60-70 pages into this book. I've thought that. I was like, Adam's a little too perfect. Like, even when he like stole her bed and then gave it back to her and all of this stuff, I was just like, he's a little too perfect. Like, the stealing her bed part wasn't perfect, obviously, but it was very light compared to like what he could have done, I think. And I don't know, I just felt like it was so well written. Of course, like, I definitely feel like that about her writing. I think some parts of it are crazy, and if you go into this book hoping for it to be some kind of dystopian adventure, that's not necessarily what this is. This is more of a romance that's obviously placed in a dystopian setting, if that makes sense. For at least the first book, that is what it feels like. The dystopian part, the sci-fi part, the fantasy part, not as adamant, I think, at least to me. Like, when I read it, I'm like, if you go in here and you're not a romance girly, you probably won't keep reading, because it's not enough. I feel like it's reading it now, it's not enough to keep anybody else interested. And those who do, you kind of get the feeling for the characters and you start to like them a lot more. And there are other characters that get introduced. I mean, there was one character that didn't get introduced until the very end, and he's a very complicated character. I already have a feeling, okay? And I, for one, I'm not sure if Adam's gonna die or whether they're gonna break up or something, but like I said, I just have that feeling of something's gonna happen with Adam. And plus, I have seen and accidentally read some like comments that had that were comments on the book, and they were rating it and stuff, and I was just trying to look at the ratings, and then I ended up reading something and I was like, oh, what? And I don't know if it's gonna happen to Unravel Me, I don't know if it's gonna happen to Ignite Me, but I'm ready and I'm so fucking excited. Like, it's just, the excitement's there, okay? I feel like I like slow burns. Let me throw this out here. My taste for books in general is slow burns. I like long books. I like really long, drawn out stuff, because I tend, not drawn out, let me not say that, like, not K-drama drawn out, if you know what I mean. But I do really like when I have a really good sense of who the character is, and I like having a really good sense of their day-to-day life and just like their personality, being able to really connect with it. And I felt like with Juliet, you definitely got that, and you definitely, I kind of like the writing style so much because it's so right up my alley. Like, I don't know how to put it, but I like it a lot. I think when it changes, and I've heard this from watching a couple of videos about this series, because that's honestly what made me really want to watch it, and I decided to do this whole thing of talking about this book. Despite her being very cookie cutter, this first book, she is very cookie cutter to me. She's very, I just want to be a good person, I just want to do the right thing, I don't want to fuck up shit, and I don't want to make a move, but at the same time, the fuck is going on here? Like, y'all, I think my favorite part was when she, this is a spoiler by the way, just so you know, my favorite part, I'm pretty sure, was when Warner tested her and had her pick up that kid, and I was just like, really? And when, like, afterwards, I mean after the fact of when he did that, and she decided to go ahead and just tear through a block of cement and then to get to him, and I was like, you just calmly walk through cement, by the way, like, girl. Oh no, I was just like, wow. With that, I was very wow. That was super cool. I like that a lot. She I don't know, it was like one of the first times that she kind of stood up for herself and for someone else, and was like, you know, this isn't how you treat people, like, no. And it was one of the first times that she had ever done that. So I feel like this is, like, I hate to say this, but like the things that she's done afterwards pretty much kind of confirm it for me that she is gonna change from being so like shy and so like scared of people because of everything that she's been through. I get it, but at the same time I'm kind of like, okay, I'm ready for the metamorphosis. Like, all I have for Shatter Me, I really like, one of the things I really like about this book is how it slowly introduces the characters. I actually really like that for me, but like I said, I like a slow burn. I like things where I get to know the characters as they come, and it's not just an onslaught of here are the 8 characters that you're gonna have to get to know them. And it's just, and that's always weird to me, and I'm like, can I, like, and it's like it's more like it's like a slow release fertilizer, literally. Like, it's like you grow, oh my god, that's like the best way to explain this. Holy crap, that's what I like slow release fertilizer for books, okay? That's why I prefer series most of the time. If you look at my shelf, so many of them are first books that I am going to read and then read hopefully the next book if I choose to and I like it. If I really like the second book, which I am a second book girly, I've come to realize this, I normally don't like things on the first book so much. Like, honestly, at 100 pages, no, at 80 pages, specifically 80 pages, I was gonna give this 2 stars. At 100 pages, I'm giving this 3 stars, and it's pretty much stayed that way the entire way throughout. I like it. There's just no other way for me to describe it. I like it. I don't necessarily love it. It's kind of how I feel about Blackpink's new album, I'm not gonna lie. I like it. It's okay. I don't hate it at all. Am I interested enough to read the second book? Yes. Much more interested than I am in a Lauren Asher series, her Brutal Birthright series to be specific. Hey y'all, so I'm back, and today I pretty much finished all of Unravel Me, which was a book to get through. I just have to say that. Like, I begrudgingly finished this book, And I shouldn't have felt that way because I tabbed it so freaking much. Like, I tabbed it so much more than the first book, which means that there were parts that I liked in it. But also, if you really look at the tabs, they're heavily focused from the beginning, like after like 50 pages, to about, and I swear to God, like if I go and I look at all of the tabs, they're all like stuff Kenji said. Like all of them is just crap Kenji said, because I love Kenji. Kenji is like my favorite character of the whole thing, even though he was kind of a little shady for the first book a little bit. But this book, oh my gosh, I love Kenji's character. I love him so much. He's my favorite. I don't want to hear about Aaron Warner. I don't care. I finished this book, so I know now like what happens and how she feels so torn in her decision with this love triangle. No one ever mentions the love triangle, and I'm like, I really wonder why. Like, I wonder what happens to Adam later on. It's like, does he just phase out? Does shit just happen? Like, because now I hate this because the shit hit the fan several times in this book. I know, because I tabbed it. I tabbed it. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm so ready for like stuff to change, and nothing ever did till the very fucking end. I don't know if I'm gonna leave that in, but anyway, I have such mixed emotions about this particular book because I was like, I felt like it shouldn't have took all that. Like, for her to come to these realizations, I wish she would have came through it a little differently. I wish it was a little bit more action. I think for a dystopian book, I always want more action, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like this series, because there's not a whole lot of action. Like, it is prose, like purple prose to hell. Like, this is where purple prose comes, and I'm like, it's so pretty. I felt like some of the comparisons and some of the just ways she explained things was a little off and a little weird, but that was mostly towards like the end of the book and probably in the middle a little bit. But majority of it, I really two-starred the fuck out of this book, because I was just, I'm sorry, it finished. Like, honestly, I really would have gave it 1 star, but there were so many points throughout it that I liked, where stuff happened and I was really excited about it. Like Aaron popping in, and dang it, why am I coughing so much? But like being captured, I really liked that part. Like, after that, I felt better about reading the book pretty much. Up until the point of, because I really thought she was gonna change once Kenji yelled at her in the beginning, but that did not happen. Your girl was still kind of her same self. And so when we got to the end and there was all this like sparks flying, romance going all off, the fireworks just everywhere for Aaron and Juliet, I was like, really? Because she swears she loves homeboy, and I'm like, with their insta-lovey ass. Like, look at you. Like, I felt like it was so insta-lovey, as much as they're supposed to have all this history and all of these kinds of stuff that, you know, in the first book it very focuses on that, and it shows you a lot of that, of where they were in each other's lives prior to all of this. Honey child, it really didn't go through enough to me to know each other to be able to be like, oh, I love you, you know, in that way. I feel like Adam was like, and Aaron Warner has completely, he is ticking so many boxes for characters that I like, and I'm like, fuck. Like, I did not want to like him at all. I did not want to like Aaron Warner whatsoever. But Unravel Me made me sort of like want to read his side of it. So I kind of do want to read Destroy Me, and I just might, because I like lots of action. I like plot. Like honey, if you're not gonna be a literary fiction, or you're not character focused, you need to have a good ass plot that keeps me guessing the entire time, that makes me like, holy shit, nothing I think is real type shit. That's how I need to feel when I'm reading your book. I say that only for like books like these where it's very out of pocket for me to read this series because of the dystopian setting. I normally don't care for those settings. I say that because they do things like say I love you in like the first 2 weeks of meeting each other, and I'm like, I get it, the world's like ending, whatever, but honey, it's not that serious. Like, it's really not. And I felt like in this book it reminds me of why I really don't care for YA as much as I used to. I used to really love YA so much. It was my favorite section in everything. At the ending I was like, yes, even though she got shot. Like, even though so much stuff happens, I was like, yes. Like, even when she was like just making out with like Warner, I was like, I am actually feeling this a lot better than I am her and Adam. Like, her and Adam, it felt so insta-lovey, and I feel like her and Warner, I feel like it was more of a growing to like him thing, and it felt a lot more natural, although I say that knowing that good and damn well this is the enemies to lovers type of thing. And it just, I was not as happy with this book. I'm definitely giving it like 1 or 2 stars. Like, honestly, I want to give it 1 star, but because the ending was so much better than what I thought it was going to lead towards, because honestly it normally picks up after 100 pages. Like, her book so far, from Shatter Me and Unravel Me, it picks up after 100 pages. This one really didn't pick up until after 250. Like, it really didn't. It like faked you like it was gonna start picking up, because I was like, okay, something happened, but it was a lot of just people talking to her. It was a lot of people just, it wasn't a lot of her doing anything. I wish she would have gone through like a bigger fight era or something, and maybe that's what's gonna be an Ignite Me, because child, her declaration at the end of this book was everything. I really actually like the cover to this one the most, and the fact that it has the pink me. I anticipated, because I'm normally a second book girl. I love second books. This second book I did not like as much, because there were just so many points where I was just like, I could fall off, I could fall off, I could fall off, and I did. Oh well. Hopefully Ignite Me is a lot better. I have hope. After that ending, reading the ending where she's like saying all this stuff after like getting shot and stuff like that, I have hope for Ignite Me now. I'm about to read Ignite Me with all this hope that I got in my heart, okay? So you guys gonna know how it's been. 1, 2 stars at the absolute max. You'll see my stuff on Goodreads if you really want to know. I probably won't mention too much, because I think I'm just over YA at this point. Specifically this era of YA, because this is like came out in 2012, came out in 2011 type of book. So yeah, this era of YA I'm kind of done with. A more conscientious one, maybe, yeah, we'll see, because I have quite a few YA books I need to read. But yeah, I'll catch you guys next time on my computer. So yeah, we'll just get into the next update. Hey y'all, it's Reasdy coming at you from my computer, and today we just so happen to have a video on continuing the Shatter Me series. So how can I put this? I'm basically pretty much done with the 3rd book. I've honestly just been reading it for about 2.5 days, and the reason why I have sailed through it, I have to say, is because of the ending of Unravel Me. As much as I feel like I went through such a fight with Unravel Me, and it did not get really good until the end. It's one of those kinds of books, that's all that I'm gonna say. For me, at least, with what I like about reading and what I like about writing, to be honest, is like how someone can enthrall me enough to keep reading a book that I'm actually not too interested in it. And to hear about he definitely did that with this series, I was just like, okay, but this, that. But I love the characters already, so I'm kind of like, I just want to know what's gonna happen. And then that was me about halfway through that book. And then when I got towards the end, because now I'm officially done with Unravel Me, and I gave it like 2 stars because it was finished. I think I was just so like, I loved the ending. Like, that's the only reason it got 2 stars, is because of the ending. Let me throw that out there. The middle I kind of understood but didn't care for. The beginning I was like, oh, okay. I was led to believe there were going to be some changes and there was going to be some stuff going on. Oh my gosh, that's not what happened. And then coming into Ignite Me with the 3rd book, and I think the final book that's still in the same format, because I think with the next book not having this in here is that I could not manage to think at all, because I was just like, they're brothers. That was such a like, the hell kind of moment for me, because I was just like, Warner and Adam are brothers. Why? It's like a part of me is like, why? And then the other part of me is like, okay, that seems kind of full circle. Okay, that's like the only thing that I didn't see coming as far as twists between these 3 books. Everything else I pretty much had called it beforehand, though I did think Adam was gonna die in like the 1st book for whatever reason. It felt that way, but I'm kind of glad he didn't die, at least not yet. I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna come back and be like, okay, well, he died now, like 2 books later. I'm like, ha, I knew it. But no, this time around, Juliet got me. I was like, I liked her in the beginning because I liked certain parts of her, but then other parts of her I found very annoying, which I felt like was because it was YA, and it's a very YA book, so that's that. And so this is me letting you guys know that I really did like this book. I predicted to be a 4-star, which says a lot. I have never had to force myself to read. I think I said this earlier, but yeah, I've never had to force myself to like get through one book to get to a book that I liked. Like, I was like, I really love Ignite Me. It's really good. I think I didn't want her to start off this way. I'm actually glad she started off a lot weaker and in a very different place, and I like that you grew with her. But man, I just have a bone to pick with her about like how Unravel Me went, and how, ooh, it's like, I hate to call her childish, but she was ridiculous. She was being absolutely crazy. But I mean, that also kind of goes with the character development, because she does get older, she does change, stuff does happen, she does almost die. Like, it's fine. There were so many things I liked about Ignite Me. It was so much more fun. Even though there aren't a ton of things happening, I love a training arc in a book. I don't know why. I love it in books, I love it in movies. I love when they do like all the training, like B-roll type crap, and I get so excited. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Like, even in Creed, like, I've seen those movies and I felt that same way. I was just like, oh my god, yes. In The Woman King too, I felt the exact same way. Shout out to The Woman King, because that is such a good movie. It's probably the best movie that I've seen in a very long time. It is so good. But I have to say that Ignite Me gave what it was supposed to give. It gave everything I wanted for a 2nd book, to be honest. Like, I felt like you needed Unravel Me, but you literally only needed about like 30 pages from like 3 different parts of Unravel Me to make up the part of the book that I felt like you really needed. Sorry, but that's true. I felt like a lot of stuff that happened in that book was kind of unnecessary, or I don't know, maybe it's because Adam was being super annoying that entire book, so she ended up breaking up with him, and it was like all this stuff, and I was like, Becky, you're damn right. Because he's just being a douche, and he's being a douche now. Like, all through Ignite Me, he's been obnoxious. Mind you, he's hurt. He's a little heartbroken, even though they've been broken up for a month. And she had to break up with him again. Like, I don't know what more do you want, sir, child, whatever. Just idiotic, so stupid. Like, why she gotta break up with you like 3 different times? Why? Unnecessary. Sit down. But anyway, it's kind of great. It made a place where I'm like, I really do love the characters. Like, I love Castle, I love James, he's so sweet. Like, I just want to put him in my pocket. Who else? Getting to know like Lily, all of them. I can't wait for more when it comes to this series, so I'm excited about that. I do feel like it's a little long-winded for this series. I feel like it could have been a lot shorter. The books could have been a little bit shorter. But I love to hear Mafi's writing. I have to say that I love her writing style for these books. I think it's so cool. I liked the crossing out stuff. I did, like, in the first 2 books, I liked it a lot. With the 3rd book is like the first time you really get emotions out of like all of the characters. It's not just Juliet and seeing things from her point of view, though you are. It's like you get other people's emotions and feelings out of it as well, which I think is what made what Tahira Mafi was trying to get across with it being so Juliet focused for Shatter Me and Unravel Me. Because I mean, Kenji like yelled at her like several times that, oh, she was only really worried about herself. She wasn't really trying to get along with everybody there and like trying to be friends with them and all of this stuff. And I think part of why he wanted to point that out to her was because he needed her to know, but at the same time, she never had that before. Like, she did not know anything about that. She was so used to people being so scared of her, and those people there at Omega Point were scared of her. Like, in fact, they very much were. So it's like, how can you really blame her when they're not very warm and inviting for her either? But at the same time, she's not really trying, and she wasn't trying at that time to, you know, try to get to know everybody or trying to be aware of the other people. She was just kind of hyper focused on fucking Adam. Literally. That's all she was worried about. Doing stuff with Adam was just about all she was worried about. And with that, I just wanted to throw that out there, that I did really like Unravel Me a lot. Not Unravel Me, Ignite Me a lot. Not to mention, I find what is his name, Warner's tattoos hilarious. Like, I'm like, if I saw a tramp stamp that huge on a guy, I would be like, sir. And the fact of what it says is what makes me laugh. Nothing else. Like, I don't give a damn about having a tramp stamp. Nothing like that. I think that's where it's supposed to be. I don't know. I could be wrong about the positioning of his tattoo, but regardless, it made me laugh. I was like, oh, okay. But yeah. I'm actually very excited to finish this book, because then this video will be done and I can edit it, and then I can show you guys everything that's going on with this book. I liked it a lot. I liked seeing inside Warner's head the most. Not necessarily being in Warner's point of view, of course, but just being able for him to like open up more to Juliet, and for her to do the same, because she really wasn't too worried about it most of the book. I liked that she had at least a moment within the book where she was like, you know what, fuck all this, like, I'm just gonna worry about myself. Because I was like, in this book, and I really liked how she took charge and came up with a plan and all this other shit. Like, I was so excited for her. And I just want Adam to sit down somewhere. He is so obnoxious, and even James is just like, can you stop? Like, Like, can you just shut up and sit down somewhere? Because you are just being the biggest douche. And then Kenji tells him how dramatic he's being and how we understand that you're hurt. We get it. But dude, we're all trying to live. And I was like, ah. And when Kenji lied to get them to come back, I was like, understandable. Understandable. I get it. Because he's so worried about James. He loves James, which is so cute. I was like, oh. But yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. And I'll catch you guys next time on my computer or at my shelf, whichever we end up doing.